Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Web3 Native Podcasts. Today, we have, of course, another very special guest and a longtime friend, Sota Watanabe from Astar and Shiden. Hello, Sota.
Hello, Sky. Thank you for having me today. I'm very excited to be here.
Indeed, we are very excited as well. And this is the start of, we're actually thinking of starting a kind of a Polkadot mini series to cover more projects in the Polkadot and Kusama ecosystem. And previously, we also interviewed Akala Reitao as well. So very happy to be continuing the interviews and podcasts for all the top projects in the ecosystem. So, Sota, would you like to kick us off with a quick intro about yourself and your journey in crypto? What should people know about you?
Sure, cool. Hello, everyone. My name is Sota Watanabe. I'm a founder of Astar and Shiden Network, previously known as Plasma Network. I joined the crypto and blockchain space 5 years ago, and I started working in blockchain space at Chronicle, which is a San Francisco-based blockchain company. And after coming back to Japan, I became a blockchain researcher at the University of Tokyo, and I founded our company at the University of Tokyo. And after that, we started making a layer 2 solution on Polkadot, but we pivoted our idea from layer 2 to smart contract hub because Polkadot itself does not support smart contract functionality. And then we have launched Shiden, and Astar is under the heavy development right now. Yeah, I hope we can become a Polkadot Parachain in this year or the next year as soon as possible. Apart from that, I'm also working as one of the director at Japan Blockchain Association and task force member of Trusted Web Council led by Japanese government.
Awesome. So a long history in crypto and also working with like governments, academics, enterprises, and of course with within the ecosystem in Polkadot and Kusama as well. I think for those who are not so familiar with the Polkadot and Kusama ecosystem, they might be a little bit confused. No parachains, no why is there Shiden and Astar. So let me give a very quick recap. When we discuss Polkadot and Kusama, these two protocols are what we call the layer 0 protocols that are underlying the layer 1 blockchains, and they help these layer 1 blockchains give them security as well as help them communicate with each other. And specifically, this is for substrate-based blockchains, which is the blockchain-based framework that you can use to create your own. All of these developed by Web3 Foundation and Parity Technologies. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Sota? Is there a pretty decent summary?
Yeah, I think this is a very good summary. And one thing I would like to add is the blockchain will be connected just like the internet of today. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, blockchain are independent right now, but it will be connected through Polkadot and other interoperability technologies. So we bet chain maximalism. This is important. Yeah.
Indeed. So the core idea of Polkadot and Kusama being the kind of like a live testnet or canary network of Polkadot, is to actually connect many different blockchains together. And the mechanism to decide which blockchains to connect to provide security and communication for is, of course, the Parachain auctions. And that is the biggest news, I think, this year in the ecosystem. And indeed, we are in the second round of the Parachain auctions already for the Kusama ecosystem. And for all of these auctions, typically the projects will also have a period for crowd loans where people can stake their Kusama tokens to, in essence, kind of like vote for a particular parachain or blockchain to be connected to the Kusama relay chain. So, given these exciting developments, we've already had, I think right now, what, 7 parachains are kind of like one and connected,
Yep.
including Shiden is already a live parachain. We'd love to invite you, Sota, to comment on what kind of trends you have noticed about the Kusama crowd loans. What are some things that surprised you, excited you? What do you think?
Yeah, one thing I was surprised is that so many people joined Kusama Crowdloan and lock KSM token for a year. So we have a 2 batch, and the batch 1, they are 5 Parachain are connected to Kusama relay chain. And at this moment, batch 2 is just right now happening. And another 5 Parachain are going to connected to Kusama. And the number of Kusama token at batch 2 is much more than the batch 1. Because people realize that locking KSM token is very beneficial and higher ROI than the staking. But yeah, I was very surprised to see a result.
Yeah, indeed. And I think part of it is driven by the fact that in the batch one of the
Yeah,
Parachain
exactly.
auctions, people who stake their KSM actually got many times the return from
Yeah,
the
yeah,
staking compared to just staking Kusama with the nominated proof of
yeah.
stake, right? Do you think this is kind of a sustainable trend? Do you think this is like a short-term hype, or this is how it's meant to be? Like the economics are that it makes more sense to stake in the crowd loan than staking.
Yeah, I think this is like a hype, and this is not sustainable, I believe. But I can be wrong because to provide better ROI, we have to maintain our network valuation higher. And staking KSM token on Kusama network is already beneficial, already attractive, and ROI is high. So we have to keep that much higher ROI for people who lock KSM token to the project. I mean, the people who join the Crowdloan. So I think this is not sustainable. But people realize that they can get a higher ROI by joining the Crowdloan. But not sure. Let's see the batch 3 and batch 4.
Yeah, this is while it's nice to see a lot of activity and people getting excited and getting involved in the crowd loans. There's some concern of whether what this will lead to, right? I think we all remember the 2017-2018 ICO period on Ethereum, where a lot of these tokens just simply launched, and then
Yeah,
some of them made people rich, but then overall it was not very good for the industry or the ecosystem because
yeah,
too much speculation and a lot of scams came in.
yeah.
There is maybe a risk that the same thing might happen to Kusama Parachains. What do you think? Because more people can just come in, new projects can keep promising higher and higher ROI, more and more tokens. How do you think this is gonna go?
Yeah, this is very similar to ICO 2017. But the one big difference is that this is not an ICO, which means the project does not receive a token from people. Instead, people lock their token on the relay chain, the Kusama network in this case. So the project cannot steal their token. This is the most important things. So yeah, in the sense, people ask project can ask people to lock their token on the relay chain, but project cannot steal the token. This is the important things. Yeah, but I'm not sure about the future. But generally speaking, the Kusama Crowdloan is zero-sum game in some sense because the number of token the project can distribute is limited. So let's say in Shiden's case, we have a 20% of our total supply for the first Kusama Parachain auction, and 20% is fixed. So the more KSM token are locked, the less Shiden token we can provide for people, right?
Mm.
So to maintain the higher ROI, we have to decrease the initial liquidity, but decreasing initial liquidity means controlling the market. So this is the opposite idea to the public blockchain. Yeah, a lot of the projects are doing this approach, and Shiden is doing this approach in some sense, but this is not ideal situation for the entire community and the entire blockchain space.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, and I guess the other trend here is that a lot of projects might allocate. Some projects only allocate the tokens for one round of crowd
Yeah,
loans, right? And then maybe some projects actually allocate maybe 2 rounds or maximum 3 rounds. So most I've seen actually two. And after the first Parachain crowd auction period, which is the 1 year for Kusama, then you actually have to bid again. And so
Yeah.
there's also a question of, how would they come up with another way to fund the new auction? Like, are they gonna use more tokens? Are they gonna somehow use some treasury? How do you think this is evolving? What are some strategies you think are effective here?
Yeah, I think every project has every different strategy. But in terms of Shiden's case, we have a you know reserve for Parachain auction 2 and Parachain auction 3, and the 40% of block rewards goes to treasury, and I think we are going to use treasury to beat Parachain slot, secure Parachain slot. So we have to make a sustainable model to secure the Parachain slot, but this is not easy at this moment. So we have to think about our token economics in the long run rather than the short term.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone needs to already keep in
Yeah.
mind, even though it's a lot of short-term high. There's one last trend I'd like to just point out, which is it seems that everybody is bidding for the full 1 year period, and on Polkadot it's going to be the 2 year period, right?
Yep.
Why do you think that's the case? Because when this candle auction was designed, actually
Yep.
there is flexibility for you to bid for maybe 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, right? So everybody, of course, they want to have the full duration. Do you think there will soon in the future auctions be some projects that ask for some slots, or they collaborate that I take 3, you take 3, or I take 6, you take 6, so that they have the maximum bid to win the crowd loan?
Yeah, in the future, I think this is going to be possible and this is realistic. But right now, every project has been preparing for Kusama Parachain auction and Polkadot Parachain auction. In some case for more than 2 years or something like that. So everyone is ready. Yeah, that's why every project bid one year slot in terms of Kusama. But in the future, a lot of projects join our ecosystem, and probably they can cooperate together to bid one slot together. And project A is going to be a parachain for the first 6 months, and project B is going to be a parachain for the last 6 months. This can be possible.
So you think that maybe after all the projects
Yeah.
that were around for the last 2 years have gotten their slots, then the
Yep.
newer projects may go for the shorter time periods?
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, and probably I think this will also need some level of technology innovation. Like we need also the para threads that allow you to produce blocks on the relay chain as well, right? Because if you're only 3 months and then you're gone, then
Yeah.
you need to have the continuity either before or after you are a parachain as well, in
Yep.
order for the users and the user experience to be maintained, right? So maybe we
Yep.
will see that in the future.
Yeah, and also we need a bridge between Kusama and Polkadot. The reason why we deploy two networks, Shiden and Astar, is that once we connect our Astar network to Kusama for 1 year, so our Astar network is going to be stuck for a year. So we cannot beat the first Polkadot Parachain auction. So this can be a problem. That's why we deploy the two network. But if we can make a bridge, let's say Kusama and Polkadot, we do not need to be a Polkadot Parachain. Let's say if we can make a bridge between Kusama and Polkadot, and if we can connect our blockchain to Kusama. In this case, yeah, we do not need to be a Polkadot Parachain, maybe in the future. So yeah, let's see. There are a lot of the things we have to implement. And we
Wow,
have to
hang on, that's like a very big if,
yeah,
right?
very, very
I mean,
big
there's a very drastic change
yeah,
if that is the
drastic.
case, right? Because
Yeah.
I think that is the one of the emerging themes that's happening in the Kusama and Polkadot ecosystem, which is Kusama is thought of as like the test net, the canary network for you to move fast and break things, right? That's why governance time is much shorter. The
Yeah.
bonding for staking is much lower. So the requirements are much lower to participate and just
Yep.
have a parachain and so on.
Yep.
And that's because we expect it to break, right? We expect the things to be rolled out and there will be chaos, right? That was the original theme. But now with the parachains coming online, And also soon we will have a lot of DeFi, a lot of NFTs coming on. In fact, some DeFi projects are already starting to deploy on Kusama. It's going to be very hard to just move very quickly and just break Kusama because there are live assets actually on there that we cannot afford to lose very simply. And so, like you mentioned, there is a hint that maybe if you have a bridge, you don't even need the Polkadot Parachain. How likely is this? And are other projects also thinking about this? How do you think the importance of Kusama versus Polkadot is going to evolve here?
Yeah, this is just a hypothesis, and I think it takes a lot of the years to make a bridge between Kusama and Polkadot. But I think this is going to be similar to Ethereum layer 1 and Ethereum layer 2, right? Ethereum layer 2 is much cheaper and much faster and much better for the retail people, retail investor, and also dApps project. But layer 1 is very expensive to deploy something. This is similar to Kusama and Polkadot. So Kusama is going to be an experimental network, and Polkadot is going to be the main network. But to become a Polkadot Parachain, this is more expensive than becoming a Kusama Parachain. But security is much stronger. This is similar to layer 1, layer 2.
So do you foresee maybe Kusama will become the layer 2 of Polkadot? Is that what you're saying? That maybe Kusama will be secured by Polkadot in the future?
Yeah, Kusama is not layer 2 of the Polkadot. Kusama is also layer 0, but layer 0 bridge, but secured by Polkadot bigger network.
Okay, well, I think that's a very interesting idea, but we will see, right? In a few years, nobody can tell right now. But what is that's true immediately right now is that, like you said, because it's cheaper, faster in a way. Well, Polkadot's not live yet, so it's cheaper right now. It seems that there's more retail interest on Kusama already, and there seems to be kind of like Kusama has its own branding and community. How would you kind of describe the people in Kusama? Because in the end, that's what makes the difference, right? It's the people that forms the network. So are the developers, the users, the community in Kusama different from Polkadot, and if so, how?
Yeah, I have a lot of opportunities to talk with community members and also venture capital. And venture capital and the institutional organization are interested in Polkadot rather than Kusama. And retail investors are more interested in Kusama than Polkadot. This is just my opinion. And Kusama is live, and Polkadot is not fully live yet. So developers are also interested in Kusama to deploy something, or making a parachain, or deploying smart contract on a parachain, or something like that. So yeah, Kusama is very interesting right now because 5 blockchain, the 6th blockchain are connected to the relay chain, and people can deploy smart contract, or people can deploy, the infrastructure, or make something new on Kusama. But Polkadot is still limited, and that's why a lot of the people are interested in Kusama instead of Polkadot right now. But Kusama is smaller ecosystem. I mean, smaller the blockchain than Polkadot. That's why institutional venture capital are interested in Polkadot, and they are preparing for Polkadot Parachain auction. So Polkadot Parachain auction is going to be bigger than Kusama Parachain auction, I think.
So your view of what you are seeing is that there may be a lot of institutions and VCs that are still waiting. They have not come into Kusama. They're waiting for Polkadot, and then they will then deploy their capital and attention towards Polkadot, but still monitor the Kusama situation.
Yeah, right. And
okay.
I have another concern. So once Polkadot and Kusama are live, what is the meaning of the Kusama, or what is the meaning of the Polkadot? So I think this is going to be another question in the next year.
Yeah. Definitely. I think on every interview regarding Polkadot, I'm going to ask that question. Right? What is the relationship between Polkadot Kusama? How is it going to evolve? Because I think everybody has a slightly different understanding and a prediction about how this will go. And nobody knows until it's live and the
Yeah,
people and developers community decide
yep,
with their time, attention, and capital.
exactly.
Okay, great. I think we've talked a lot about the high level overview. It's time to now go into your project, of course, your ecosystem,
Yeah.
your work, which is Astar and Shiden. So please take us through like a journey and a quick intro of what it is and like journey of how we got here. Right? Because I remember when we first met and you started working together with your first Web3 grant. Back then, it was very different from what the vision and the progress is now. So we'd love to kind of like understand that whole history.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So we started making Astar. It was Plasm at the moment, Plasm, back in 2018. Sorry, 19. And we started making layer 2 solution on Polkadot simply because we have great technologies in Ethereum space and a great relationship with the grant recipients from Ethereum Foundation. But we realized that layer 2 is not strongly needed in a Polkadot ecosystem because Polkadot itself is a scaling solution. And Polkadot has a sharding-ish architecture, which is similar to the Ethereum 2.0. So we pivoted from layer 2 solution to smart contract platform because Polkadot itself does not support smart contract functionality by design. So no one can deploy dApps on Polkadot relay chain. So we need a Parachain that supports smart contract. And when it comes to smart contract, Ethereum compatibility is very important because Ethereum is the biggest network. But also supporting WebAssembly, which is the future of smart contract, and layer 2 are really important for making smart contract hub. And that's why we are also working on layer 2, especially rollups at this moment. But layer 2 became our supplementary feature rather than the core feature. And I joined the long hash bootcamp, which is supported by Web3 Foundation and Parity Technologies, and we graduated. At that moment, it was Plasm.
Yeah.
And then we got a lot of grants. I think we got 7 grants from the Web3 Foundation, and we have already delivered 5 grants out of the 7. So we are one of the top recipients in the Polkadot ecosystem. So yeah, we are working on optimistic rollup, ZK rollup, and smart contract features right now. And we deployed Shiden. And Shiden became a Kusama Parachain in June, so 2 months ago. So yeah, and we are waiting for Polkadot Parachain auction right now. So this is like a brief history of Plasm and Astar.
Awesome, awesome. Yes, indeed, it has gone through quite a few iterations, right? From the
Yeah,
technology standpoint, we went from the plasma rollups to now more just focusing on OVM, optimistic rollups, ZK
yeah,
rollups, and also then now focusing on the multi-chain rather than just the rollups as the core feature.
yeah,
And in terms of the kind of business model as well, I remember it has changed a lot since from back then, right?
yep,
Like I think initially when funding and so on was not as generous or not as readily available. I remember we started off with some even consulting projects, right? And you had to take grants. And then later on, then we did like more stake drops, start to raise funds, and now with crowd loans, and now you have for your own ecosystem as well. Throughout this journey, how did you decide when to adapt and pivot? How do you make this decision? And what kind of cues and lessons do you learn from that?
yeah. I think this is a great question. So when we joined Polkadot space, Polkadot was not live yet, and dot token is not listed. So we got a lot of dots from the Web3 Foundation through grants, but the value is actually 0 because it's not listed, right? And so we had to make a money to survive. That's why we did a consultancy and we did a education service for the Japanese clients, and we survived. And after that, Dot is fully launched and Dot token is listed, and then the price became $1 or $2 to 30 or something like that. Then we got a lot of grants, and we have a Dot, and Dot became the value of the Dot became 10 times more or something like that. So we could survive. And Parachain is one of the most important feature Polkadot has. So people finally realize the value of the Parachain, and we have been working on the Parachain. Yeah, that's why we could successfully got fund from like Longhash, Binance, Fembushi, OKX, Huobi, and so on. So now we are 100% focusing on making a Polkadot and Kusama Parachain, and we changed our vision. So when we started our company, I was thinking about IPO or M&A, just like a traditional startup. But after deploying the mainnet, after deploying public blockchain, I changed my direction from IPO to making a DAO, because Bitcoin is invented outside of the financial market, right? And there is no company behind Bitcoin. So Astar and Shiden is also a public blockchain, and Stake Technology is the company which is leading the community right now. So my vision is to close Stake Technologies in 2 years to make a DAO, because Stake Technology is going to be a single point of failure of Astar and Shiden. And once we make a DAO, I'm going to resign the CEO of Stake Technologies and make a foundation. I hope I can be I can become one of the open source contributor of Astar and Shiden in 2 years. So this is similar to MakerDAO and Shapeshift, but I think this is the future. Yeah, many people do not understand the value of the DAO yet, but I think this is the future. So I'm going to do my best to close my company.
Absolutely. That's a very different dream to many startup founders, right? Like, I want my startup to close down. It's a funny idea when you talk to the traditional startups. So for you, what was that moment that made you change your mindset from IPO to DAO, right? Was there a trigger? Was there what was the realization?
Yeah, running business is very hard. So we have to pay the salary, we have to pay tax, and we have to, have a lot of obligation we have to do. But the reason why I joined the blockchain space is the Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is the new invention, and which is not managed by someone. So Bitcoin is decentralized and autonomous. So I like the Bitcoin itself. So that's why we I changed my idea from IPO to making a DAO. And if I think I can try to do a IPO or M&A, but if we do that, there is no reason to be in the blockchain space. Yeah. So we are focusing on making DAO, decentralized autonomous organization at this moment.
For sure. I think almost every single crypto project is looking at that. Even for the more centralized companies, that's like it's a kind of pressure or always the thought at the back of their minds. So very much, I think the movement towards DAOs is very strong and very clear.
Yeah, now, and also, there are a lot of people who did M&A and IPO, but there are very few people who did making DAO. So I'm interested in making a history rather than following others.
All right. Yeah, I think along those lines of making history, right, there needs to be something new and innovative, right? So
Yeah.
I think one of the questions we got from the audience, which will then lead very nicely to the rest of the discussion, is what is the differentiation between Shiden and some of the first few parachains that were
Mhm.
established on Kusama, which are of course
Mhm.
Akala Karura, and also Moon River from Moonbeam, right? So,
Mhm.
how would you describe the specialties of Shiden? And then we can go into all the details.
Yeah, so Shiden has an original implementation in ecosystem. I think we have at least 4 or 5, but most important things is DApps staking. So DApps staking is the like a basic income for developer. I think the most precious resource in community is always developer. But there is no financial incentive for developers to deploy smart contract or make infrastructure in a public blockchain. So let's say you are making something on the top of Ethereum, but you cannot get ETH, right, by making smart contract or by making infrastructure. So you have to pay gas. Actually, you are paying. You are not receiving if you are a developer in other blockchain. But in case of Shiden and Astar, by making smart contract or by making infrastructure, you can get Shiden token or Astar token from block rewards. So you can token while making product. So this is very simple, but very strong incentive to make something on the top of Shiden and Astar. So this is the most important feature Astar and Shiden has in Polkadot space. Maybe even like a blockchain space. And another one is cross virtual machine. So Ethereum compatibility is very important because a lot of the people deploy Solidity contract on Ethereum. So supporting Ethereum virtual machine is, crucial. But this is like a day one for Polkadot Parachain because Ethereum compatibility is developed by Parity Technologies, and any Parachain can use that feature to make an Ethereum compatibility. So what makes Shiden and Astar unique is we are also supporting WebAssembly because WebAssembly is the future of the smart contract and made by like Mozilla, Google, and such a big companies. So Ethereum virtual machine is developed by Ethereum Foundation and Ethereum community, and WebAssembly is developed by traditional big companies. So we need a WebAssembly to make crypto accessible for all people. So we are going to support WebAssembly as well as Ethereum virtual machine and make them interactive. So this is the second feature we have. And another one is multi-virtual machine support. So we are not making Ethereum on Polkadot, or we are not making DeFi on Polkadot. We are making a multi-chain dApps hub on Polkadot. So we are also working on bridges. So we are going to deliver Ethereum bridge by the end of September. And we are also going to deliver, let's say, Avalanche bridge, Binance Smart Chain bridge, even Definity bridge, and Solana bridge. So I think we have at least 3 differentiators in the community.
Awesome, awesome. So we're going to go into the dApp staking, multi-chain, and also the cross virtual machine,
Yeah.
each of these. So let's start with the dApp staking, which is a kind of a business model or incentive mechanism design innovation, right? Like you mentioned, it's meant to be basic income. And the differentiator is that it's actually coming from the block rewards, right? It's coming from the inflation of the tokens. And half of that actually goes to securing the validators, half of that goes to the dApp staking, and then between that, half goes to the developers and half of it goes to the nominators as well. Would you like to just walk us through how that works, what people can do in dApp staking?
Yeah, cool. So we are going to deploy a dApps store, which is our first product, and you can nominate your token on dApps. So let's say SushiSwap is making application on the top of Astar, and you can nominate your token on SushiSwap. So you can stake your token on SushiSwap. And by doing so, you can earn the Astar token based on SushiSwap's performance.
So you stake the Astar token to get more Astar, right?
Yeah, exactly. And SushiSwap can, provide additional sushi token to you, but it depends on sushi or, the project on the Astar network. And based on the nomination amount and also on-chain data. On-chain data means like a transaction, number of the address or number of the nomination and so on. So based on these data, the project can earn money, token from block rewards. And block rewards will be automatically transferred to project and also nominator. So we do not control anything. So this is the beauty of the blockchain itself.
Yeah, so it's built into the layer one. Like when the new tokens are minted, it's automatically distributed every block, would you say, to
Exactly.
people who are nominated, as well as the dApps which are receiving the nomination. That's great. That's great. So this is actually quite a simple mechanism, as you said, right? It's a simple but powerful mechanism. Of course, we want to then look into some maybe challenges or limitations that this mechanism might have. One of it is, of course, if somebody, a lot of people create the fake sushi swap or fork the sushi swap, how will we then control this? Because then do we go back to centralized control? Then the Shiden and Astar Council or something needs to check for the fraud or some corruption there.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of, we can see a lot of these activities in Shiden and Astar in coming months. So at the first point, the dApps store is going to be trusted dApps store. So anyone can deploy smart contract on Shiden and Astar. It's permissionless. But listing dApps on the top of dApps store is permissioned. So to list their application on the top of dApps store, they have to join Builders program. And Builders program will be approved by the council and the community member. So we are going to limit the number of the dApps listed on dApps store at the first point, but we are going to find a better way to manage the community because decentralization matters.
Yes. So in the end, I think we have to come back to some sort of like governance mechanism that needs to be on top of the dApp staking as well to help curate the dApp store in a permission way and make sure that it's still in a fair and transparent and realized way. Certainly looking forward to that, and I think everyone can feel free to contribute as well to this area. Right, this is an emerging area that everyone can contribute to. Another area that can be interesting is that there's no limitation for the dApps to nominate themselves. So if they have their own Shiden, they can just name themselves and then they will get more Shiden. So or maybe they can say I buy the votes, right? I say, okay, you nominate me, I will give you whatever Astar I get, I give you 10% back, kind of like a vote buying or a collusion type of activity. Is this a concern at all? Is this acceptable?
Actually, this is acceptable because the more token locked on the ecosystem, this is very attractive for the community. This is similar to like a Polkadot staking. So long hash can run the collator or long hash can the validator, and you can purchase the DOT token, right? And you can lock your DOT token on your collator or on your validator. This is the good things for the community. But dApps staking is like it will be delivered soon, but this is minimum valuable product at this moment. So we need to adjust some parameters step by step in coming months.
For sure. I think that's one of the good things about the substrate-based chains. That's that it can be upgradable even at the layer one level, right? The protocol level.
Without fork.
Yes, without fork. Yeah, exactly. So we're certainly
And one
looking
thing
forward to the governance.
Yeah, sorry for that. One thing I would like to add about dApps staking is the networking effect. A blockchain is all about networking effect, I believe. So let's say the valuation of Astar token is $1 billion US dollar, and 10% will be issued per year. So in this case, $100 million worth Astar token will be issued per year, right? And 50% goes to developer and nominator. So 50 million US dollar worth Astar token will be delivered to the community. And the more, so we can incentivize people to make dApps or infrastructure on the top of Astar. And the more dApps or more infrastructure are created, the more option token holder has to lock their token on dApps or infrastructure. In this sense, the more dApps we have, the more token will be locked on the network. And the more token locked on the network, the less the liquidity is. And if the liquidity is getting smaller and smaller, there is a positive effect on the valuation. So valuation, let's say valuation became 2 billion from 1 billion. In this case, we can distribute 2 times more worth token. US dollar, sorry, the number is the same, but the value is the 2 times. So we can distribute $200 million worth Astar token to the community. And there is another feedback effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is our beauty of tokenomics, and that's why people deploy smart contract or people deploy infrastructure on the top of Astar and Shiden. Blockchain is all about incentive. So we should not underestimate the value of the dApps staking.
Yeah, in fact, I think this is one of the first few times this has been tried, right? Where it's like very directly I stake and then I earn rewards for usage, incentivizing just that nomination. This is actually quite different from what the liquidity mining projects are doing, because that you're incentivizing usage, right? Like if I use the network, then I can get some of the tokens as reward. Here, it's not linked to the usage at all. It's just if I get the nomination, then I get the tokens, right? So I can have be very low usage, but a lot of staking, and therefore I get the rewards. Do you think this is an area that will be changed as well? Will it somehow be linked to volume or how many users, something, or like the value created on Shiden, or will it just be the nomination from here on?
Yeah, I believe we can create a lot of the value, and this is very attractive for new developer who are considering joining our ecosystem. But let's see, we can see the result in months.
Yeah. Well, I think one good thing about this mechanism is that because it's not tied to the usage,
Yep.
therefore it can encourage the new projects, like you said, the new developers to get the nomination and still get the benefits, right? If it's related to the usage, then only the big projects will get the
Yep.
rewards, and only the established projects will get the nomination and will get the rewards, and the big projects will get bigger. But this will then allow the smaller projects to maybe come up. Because for the people who are nominating, it doesn't matter if I nominate a big project or a small project, my reward is the same. Is that correct?
Yep. But based on the nomination, the reward will be distributed. So bigger project can attract more token than smaller project. But that's why we founded Astar and Shiden Ecosystem Fund 1, and we are going to establish Fund 2 once Astar is live. And we can use our token to nominate on dApps. So we can support small project to get more market share and receive block rewards, because small project matters in our case.
Yeah, yeah. So it's tied to the nomination, right? The more the nomination, and therefore the more the reward. So it is possible that a smaller project can get more nomination
Exactly.
because they need it, versus
Yeah.
a big project because they are popular or there's a high volume.
Yep. And
Yeah.
also the interesting things is the people who deploy smart contract does not need to be a developer. It can be like a venture capital. So Longhash can deploy smart contract on the top of Astar, and you can get basic income from block rewards.
Yeah,
So
actually.
community decide who. The community decide how to distribute that basic income.
Yeah. So what are some of the yeah, actually I want to go to the possibilities there, but first I just want to ask a very quick question around the economics, right? You mentioned it's like a basic income, right? That is the idea. For it to be basic income, then they would need to sell the tokens into cash for their to survive, right? Like I said, for early projects they need to survive. So in essence, do you expect these developers to then basically keep on selling as they keep getting the inflation, whereas the other people who are staking then contribute to the lower liquidity, but there are some people who are constantly selling. Do you think there needs to be a balance here? How do we kind of like incentivize, some tokenomics that has burning or reducing supply and not just staking it? Is that what you're thinking about?
Yeah, 40% of the block rewards goes to Treasury, and Treasury is going to, on-chain governance is going to decide how to use that Treasury token. So based on the data, on-chain data, I think we can ban the Treasury token, or we can ban transaction fee. So there are a lot of the things we can take, a lot of strategy we can take in the future. So yeah, we have a flexibility, and we have a lot of the things we have to decide through on-chain governance. But at this moment, delivering the staking is the most important things. And let's see the on-chain data. And after that, we make a decision based on the data.
Absolutely. We have to
Yeah,
adapt according to the market and the people who
yeah,
use it. What you mentioned is very interesting, that like anybody can deploy a contract, even long hash, even though we may not be doing a very technical project, but if we
yeah,
have the support of the community, we can deploy a very simple contract. In fact, maybe it's a NFT contract that gives out NFTs, right? And then we can receive the nomination there. Is there any kind of indication or focus area of what kind of projects you foresee to come onto Shiden and Astar? Will we see a lot of very simple, basic social tokens or NFTs, or will we see more complicated DeFi projects? Or are you just open to everything? Are you trying to shape it anyway?
yeah. For me, we would like to attract a lot of DeFi project, especially like stablecoin, DEX, or lending service, or synthetic asset, and so on. But NFT use cases are also attractive for me. Maybe it's because I'm Japanese, and I know a lot of the great IP in Japan. I know a lot of the people who like to use our ecosystem and blockchain in general to deploy NFT. So I would like to see some great, big IP on Astar.
Yes, I think we're
Yeah,
all
this
really
is
looking forward to that. Yeah.
yeah, personal opinion.
Yeah, there's so much of the culture, right? Like, of course, all the anime that's like very popular among the geeks in crypto. Maybe if we see a lot of that being tokenized, that's going to be amazing. There's already a
Yeah,
huge
exactly,
fan base globally, right? In China and
exactly.
Southeast Asia, everywhere. So yeah, very exciting. One area of overlap that I think is not really discussed, but I see it in the documentation, is the operator trading. Because what I noticed is that actually, after you deploy the contract, you can still transfer the ownership of the contract. And I assume this also means that the nomination will also be transferred to the along with the contract, right? So in a way, if I have a basic income cash flow, I can transfer this cash flow
Yep,
to somebody else. How do you think
yep.
this will interact with the dApp staking?
Yeah, we have operator trading because we have dApps staking. It's in a blockchain ecosystem, everything is open source in general. So you can easily fork Uniswap and make another Uniswap, right? It's just a fork. So you can copy and paste contract. But in case of Astar, there is dApps staking. And if Uniswap attract a lot of token from block rewards, maybe someone would like to purchase that contract to get dApps staking, basic income. So the developer can transfer the ownership of the smart contract from A to B or B to C based on the dApps staking, the amount they can get through dApps staking. So this is I think the only feature Astar supports in the Polkadot ecosystem.
Yeah, so it's kind of like you can sell your business. It's a kind of like a
Yeah.
M&A in a way.
Yeah, it's like a decentralized M&A system.
Yeah, so that's really cool. We may start to see if I have a big project, I want to acquire the smaller projects, then you can actually get the ownership of their dApps as well.
Yep.
Right now, it's kind of like a all or nothing. It's just if I own all, or I do not own it, right? Like, do you think this will also evolve? Because in the M&A world, like I might not take 100%. Maybe I take 51% or 60, 80%, or maybe a small share, like 10% of it. Is that going to be as well? Will we see like the financial hub of the dApps trading and staking on Astar and Shiden?
That's important, opinion. And I have never, think about it. So, yeah, this is going to be Astar improvement proposal number one.
Yeah, because I think this raises a question of ownership, right? What does it mean to own the dApp? And is it the token holders? Because if the token holders have the governance power, and I already give away, I burn my somehow my keys, and then I transfer it to a governance module. Then the governance module owns it. But the community can decide to give some of it, or have a buyout from M&A, right? There can be very many interesting applications based on this core feature on Shiden.
Yeah, but we are making like a platform. So the most important thing is the option. The more option we can provide, the more attractive network is. So not 100% people are making a DAO, and not 100% people would like to make a decentralized network or decentralized project. So we need options for people who would like to make centralized application on the top of our blockchain, and who would like to make 100% decentralized product on the top of our blockchain. So we prepare a lot of the option to make better platform.
Awesome, right? It's all about the flexibility and options, so that we can attract not only the very kind of like crypto projects that are going to become DAO, but also any potential Web2 projects that want to use the Web3 infrastructure to become more transparent, and then maybe start to decentralize a little bit. At least they are transparent, immutable.
Yeah, exactly. Everything does not need to be decentralized, and we need a centralized service like a government service and so on. We need trusted, third party in a real life, but some part needed to be decentralized, and this is where blockchain comes in. But we would like to provide our service to people who would like to make centralized service.
All right, I think that's a very good note to kind of close on this chapter of the dApp staking. I'd like to move on to the other differentiator for Shiden, which is then the multi-chain and the cross virtual machine. We were talking about bringing in more traditional Web2 or even centralized businesses, and I think this is part of the vision why you decide to also have the WASM VM and not just the EVM, right? So would you like to then talk us through then what is the difference between having supporting WASM, supporting EVM, and what does it mean for the developers, for who are Web2 developers or Web3 developers, right? What is the experience like for them?
Yeah. So Ethereum virtual machine was developed by Ethereum founders, and Ethereum virtual machine is for Ethereum, right? And a lot of the layer one blockchain support Ethereum virtual machine, but EVM is originally for Ethereum. But the WebAssembly is developed by big companies such as Mozilla and Google, Microsoft, and so on. And the community is not just the blockchain. They are also interested in a lot of existing service and how to improve web itself. So I believe WebAssembly in the long run, but Ethereum virtual machine is really important. But crypto community is getting bigger and bigger, and the blockchain community is also getting bigger and bigger. So to include the existing people outside of the blockchain, we need better virtual machine to run smart contract. So in case of WebAssembly, which is faster, and also WebAssembly is compatible with existing web, such as Google, Mozilla, and so on. So people can directly use smart contract by using the existing web without extension. So this is going to be the future. And also a lot of smart contract can be deployed. Sorry, a lot of languages can be deployed on WebAssembly based virtual machine, like Rust, like Go, or even Kotlin, and so on. So in case of Ethereum virtual machine, everything is written in Solidity or maybe Viper. It's very limited. In case of WebAssembly, last contract, let's say last contract or Go contract can be deployed. And there are a lot of Rust developer. In case of Rust, it's not a lot. But in case of, let's say, Go or Python, there are a lot outside of the blockchain ecosystem, right? And they can use the WebAssembly and WebAssembly based smart contract platform in the future. This is why we are focusing on WebAssembly as well as Ethereum virtual machine.
So, would you like to talk us through then what the cross virtual machine means, right? That you can have
Yeah.
the Ethereum address but interact with the WASM contract, and then
Yep.
vice versa. How does that work?
So having two virtual machine in one platform is very tough. So we have a Ethereum virtual machine environment, and we have a WebAssembly environment. And this environment are independent and different. So we need interrupter. I mean, we need interaction between EVM and WebAssembly. And at this moment, you can deploy contract on WebAssembly. And you can call the function of this contract from EVM environment and vice versa. So let's say you deploy very simple stablecoin contract on WebAssembly, and you can call and you can use one of the function you deployed on the WebAssembly from Ethereum virtual machine environment. And I hope we can make it vice versa. But at this moment, you can call WebAssembly contract from Ethereum virtual machine environment.
So is this kind of like universal? Is there any exceptions or limitations? So basically, as long as any contract that's written in WASM or WebAssembly, you can use the Ethereum address to call it. There's no exceptions, no limitations at all.
We have a lot of exceptions and limitations. Like in case of WebAssembly, Ink contract, Ink is developed by Parity Technologies, and this is a smart contract language. Ink can be deployed on WebAssembly at this moment. And yeah, this is the limitation. And another limitation is you can only call WebAssembly contract from Ethereum virtual machine. So you cannot call Ethereum virtual machine contract from WebAssembly environment right now. But I hope we can solve this problem.
Indeed. Well, of course, it's already very impressive that this is live today, right? I think you showed the demo that you can already call the contracts. Of course, from the developer side, we still need to have the ink. Hopefully, we'll open up to many more kind of possibilities for the developers. All right. Now we move to the third part of the Shiden's and Astar's differentiator that you mentioned, which is the idea and the vision of a multi-chain hub. That's quite different from just compatibility or just about Kusama and Polkadot. We're talking about all the potential chains, right? And to me, I think this very much into the Polkadot and Kusama's vision, which is the anti-chain maximalism. But actually, before we go there, it seems to me that even for Kusama and Polkadot, even though it's anti-chain maximalism, but there is still some level of exclusion because it only applies to substrate-based
Exactly.
blockchains, right? And also, this model is quite similar to the Ethereum and the sharding and the layer 2 shards that will come on. It almost looks like Ethereum layer 1 will become similar to the relay chain, something like that, and the shards will become like the parachains. So what do you think about this analogy and this anti-chain maximalism? Is there actually competition? And then, does Shiden change the model?
Yeah, as you mentioned, Polkadot connect blockchains, but technically speaking, Polkadot connect blockchain only be built on Substrate. So Polkadot connect Substrate-based blockchain, and the other layer one blockchains such as Ethereum, Solana, or Avalanche are not based on Substrate. So we need adapter to connect the networks. And this is where Astar Networks comes in. And that's why we support both Ethereum virtual machine and WebAssembly. Some layer one blockchain are not using Ethereum virtual machine. So we need WebAssembly to connect other network. And yeah, this is the vision. And we have already connected our blockchain testnet to Ethereum and also Cosmos. And some of our community members are working on Binance Smart Chain or even Divinity blockchain. Divinity is not blockchain. Divinity and Solana blockchain and so on.
That's very
Sorry.
interesting to hear about the bridges and coming through. It's almost like through the Astar multi-chain hub, then all the other blockchains can become like shards on the Kusama blockchain or on the Polkadot blockchain, right? Because now you can then connect to then Solana, Cosmos, Binance Smart Chain, Avalanche, and even Divinity. Was there any kind of process to or prioritization for you to decide to integrate with these different chains, right? So for example, why is the Cosmos secret network the first one? Was it, did you decide for it to be a priority, and why are some of it left out? So I think noticeably, the other layer twos are not in the roadmap, or the Polygon is also not on the roadmap. I just wonder, how was this decision made?
Yeah, so the priority is dependent on the technical integration, the easiness of the technical integration, and also the community, the size of the community. So Ethereum is definitely the first priority. And if we can make Ethereum bridge, I think we can make, let's say, Avalanche bridge and Binance Smart Chain bridge, because both platforms use Ethereum virtual machine. And in case of Cosmos virtual machine, our developer was working on Cosmos. So he knows both Cosmos and Polkadot. So it is easier for us to make a bridge between Cosmos and Polkadot. So priority is dependent on the technical limitation, easiness, and also the size of the community.
Mm-hmm. So, would you say it is technically more difficult to connect with the other existing rollups, for example, Optimism or Arbitrum or the ZK Sync, or even Polygon? How would you rate the difficulty for these different chains or rollups?
Yeah, connecting layer one blockchain is much easier for us rather than connecting layer two blockchains, because the layer two is designed to connect their layer two blockchain to Ethereum. It's not layer one. So we need a lot of adapters to connect Ethereum layer two to Polkadot layer one.
I see.
Technically, it is not easy.
Right. Then, what about, say, Polygon?
In terms of Polygon, I think Polygon is sidechain rather than layer two, so it is easier than optimistic rollup or ZK rollup.
I see. So then it depends on the community capabilities to then integrate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Great, great. And of course, I noticed on the roadmap as well, the integrations are not kind of like, they're actually quite soon, right? We planned for even September or within this
Yep.
year to connect with all of these.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
And
in terms of the timeline, DApps staking will be delivered in September. And also Ethereum Bridge MVP will be delivered in September.
yeah, so all of these are happening really quickly.
Yeah.
And in fact, one critical component, like you mentioned, is the bridge, right? The Ethereum
Yeah.
bridge or the EVM bridge. And of course, those in the ecosystem know that there are some bridges already being built. Of
Yep.
course, there's the Snow Fork, and then for the Ethereum, and then there's Interlay for even the BTC Bitcoin bridge.
Yep.
So, but then for Shiden and Astar, you decided to work with ChainSafe to build the bridge. Is
Yep.
there any particular reason you need to build your own rather than rely on the composability between the projects, right? What are some advantages or disadvantages of doing it this way?
Yeah, this is very simple, and there is just one reason. So we wanted to control our timeline by ourselves. So let's say if we work with Snowfork, if we work with Interlay directly, we are working with this project indirectly. If we work with this project directly, um, we have to wait for them to secure Kusama Parachain, right? And it's not predictable. So that's why we chose to work with the ChainSafe to make a ChainSafe bridge to Ethereum and other Ethereum compatible blockchains.
Hmm.
We control our timeline by ourselves.
That makes sense. And when we talk about a bridge, I understand there are actually many types of bridges, like for assets, for smart contract calling, there may be one way
Yep.
or two ways bridging.
Yep.
So, what kind of bridge are we building, and what level of progress can we expect by September or this year?
Yeah. So our bridge is trusted at this moment. So we need a relayer to who can transfer token from blockchain A to blockchain B. So relayer can be centralized, but trustless is better than trusted, bridge in the long run. So we would like to make it decentralized and decentralized step by step. But this is going to be MVP, minimum valuable product. So this is going to be a trusted bridge. And in terms of the timeline, we are going to deploy first MVP of Ethereum bridge by the end of September. You can transfer ERC20 token and you can transfer ERC721 token from Ethereum to Astar, Shiden to Ethereum.
Hmm. I see. So the bridge, well, in the beginning will be centralized with some relayers, and it will be
Mhm.
used to transfer the assets between the
Yes,
different chains. So
yes.
for the projects they want to deploy or use the multi-chain hub, then they will need to redeploy the contract on Shiden itself.
So in case of Ethereum compatible blockchain, so we can use chain safe bridge like Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, and so on. But we need our own bridge to make non Ethereum compatible bridge like Solana or Divinity and so on. And this is still a research phase, but our community member and our core developer started working on that.
Okay, certainly very exciting. I think we'll be following the developments of the
Yeah.
bridges. I think certainly the cross-chain future or the multi-chain future is something
Yeah.
everybody is looking forward to. Yeah.
Yeah. The multi-chain is the future, and we can make innovative use cases such as multi-token collateralized synthetic asset or stablecoin. Stablecoin can be collateralized by not only ETH, ERC20 token, and BTC, or maybe ICP token or something like that, so that we can make a new idea, a new concept in a blockchain. So connecting a blockchain is the things we would like to do in coming months.
So I understand this is probably an area that's a priority and of course excitement as well. I think we're moving to the last part and trying to wrap up the podcast now. So we always like to just understand from your perspective what is exciting to you in the Web3 or crypto space today, aside from of course everything that's happening in Shiden and Astar. What are you paying attention to, excited about?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really excited to connect blockchains. So there is only Bitcoin network or Ethereum network or other layer one network which are independent. But in 2021 and 2022, the blockchain will be connected, and people can interact each other from blockchain 1 to blockchain 2, and vice versa. So this is similar to internet of today. So internet was independent, and it takes long time and it takes high cost to transport message from let's Singapore to Japan, Japan to US. But now we can communicate each other for free. And blockchain is going to have the same history, I think. So connecting blockchain is the first step to utilize blockchain in the world and to realize Web 3.0. And Web 3.0 is all about verifiability. So people can directly connect their client to smart contract so that we can understand what we are paying, what we are receiving, and what we are losing and gaining. But data and the ownership is controlled by centralized company right now. So we have to trust the authorities. But by connecting blockchain, a lot of activities, not only in the blockchain system, outside of the blockchain activity, community, a lot of the new use cases can be born in a multi-chain environment. So this is the things I'm really excited in coming months, coming years. And multi-chain is going to be the base layer to realize Web 3.0.
Is this something that is a prediction, or do you already see some applications today that are then bringing in new users or new innovation because it's a multi-chain?
Yeah, at this moment, this is blockchain ecosystem. So DeFi comes first, and NFT comes second, and then I don't know, but DeFi comes first. So we have a lot of DeFi product in our ecosystem, and some project are working on multi-token collateralized synthetic asset, or stablecoin, or multi-chain DEX. So we can swap not only ERC to any token, but also, let's say, Bitcoin or ICP token or Astar token Shiden on the single DEX. So I think this is going to be a game changer.
Yeah, I think absolutely game changer is the word here for like all this true like interoperability and composability between the ecosystems. Fantastic. Well, I just like to end off with a last question, because I see you have been a big proponent of the more kind of like developer and building kind of like culture in crypto, and in fact you have often spoken out against the money game speculation of the crypto components. So I'd just like to hear your kind of vision of how you like to shape the culture of the people in the Web3 ecosystem, and what kind of like advice would you share with the people who are listening?
Yeah, in a blockchain and crypto world, there is few rules or few restrictions. So it is very easy to create another Wall Street, or it is very easy to create another money game, right? But it is very tough to choose not to do that intentionally. But the culture makes the great product. So in our case, we can do the money game and we can create a Wall Street, another Wall Street, but we intentionally do not do that. And this makes the culture, and the culture makes great product. So the most important things is not thinking about the short-term benefit rather than thinking about long-term benefit or long-term vision. And yeah, I recommend people and entrepreneurs thinking about long-term vision and how can blockchain shape the world and make the world a better place rather than the money game in the next 3 months or 4 months. This is tough.
Yes.
uh, it's needed, especially in the crypto space.
Mm, mm. Yeah, of course. I mean, there's nothing wrong with making money,
Yeah,
but if
that's it.
it's only about the money game, I think then is a problem, right? That we don't want to go back to the hyper speculative kind of like ICO days, and then too much scams and speculators coming. We want the making money to be balanced with the creating value, and that's how we can make this a sustainable ecosystem.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, I think on that note, we should wrap it up. Thank you so much again, Sota, for joining us today. It's been a super insightful conversation and learning about the whole ecosystem and also Shiden and Astar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Guy.
All right, for everyone, see you next time.
Bye bye.